Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hashtag Sports. Over this side is Ryan. I'm Joe, and welcome to Razor Sharpe Picks. Hopefully, you didn't pick Cole to do well. The Yankees are tied right now, 5-5 in Game 6. However, or no, Game 5.
Game five, yeah.
Game 5. This would be the first time in World Series history that a team went down 3-0 and forced a Game 6. Even a
That's
Game
true.
6, like it's never happened. So very interesting stuff there. But we're not here to talk about baseball. We're not here to talk about the World Series. We're here to talk about our Razor Sharpe Picks, Week 9 of the NFL season. Happy Halloween, everyone. I got our ghosts here today. Hopefully, those are the only ghosts we're seeing with our picks this week. Ryan, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good, man. We continued strong last week. We're on a, double-digit over 500 tear here on the straight-up picks, both you and me. So, nice rebound there. And we're going to dial in on the props and parlays this week. I think we got some good ones cooked up.
Absolutely. If you're here just for the picks and you've been going with us, our picks all season long, you're happy with us. If you've been using our parlays, we're wishing for better results, and hopefully we have that. Still plenty of season to go, though, Ryan. Plenty of time to get back in the positive money.
That's right. Yep, it's still early, not even halfway through the season yet.
Yep.
And this actually marks the halfway point this week. So
that's right.
Good. We got some good games on the docket as well. Mm-hmm. Bills back home at a regular 1:00 start, so things are feeling like a normal fall weekend for us this week.
And don't forget, speaking of that game, I'll be live with you right here on Hashtag Sports starting at 12:30 for the game between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. We all know how these games have gone while Josh Allen has been the Buffalo Bills quarterback. Hopefully it can happen again because the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, Ryan, we'll talk more about this in pregame. In my opinion, to me, this game is a matter of, are the Bills satisfied with just winning a division, or are they going to take care of business early, stomp on the throat, and get ready for a big playoff run? And that's what it means to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game that, Buffalo is supposed to win. It's a game that if their Bills, we've said this a couple times throughout the season, right? If the Bills are as good as everybody thinks they are and as good as they think they are, this is a game that they win, relatively handily. And it's funny, right? Because this is the third divisional game. They don't have another divisional game until the last 3 weeks of the season. And the division could be over by then. If the Jets lose tomorrow and the Bills beat the Dolphins, that division's over, man. Like that's it. It's a wrap. So it'll be interesting to see how much Buffalo puts the pedal to the metal. Are they going to chase that 2-3-1 seed? Because right now they're the 4 seed in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, and I mean it's a long shot, right? But the Bills do still play the Chiefs later on this year. So even though they're down 2 games to the Chiefs, there's still a long way to go. Anything can really happen in the NFL. And we saw it last week when the Browns beat the Baltimore Ravens. No one saw that coming, and that happened. So we'll see how the season continues to go. Before we get into Week 9, let's, as Ryan brought up a little earlier, let's revisit Week 8 and see how we've done both in Week 8 and throughout the season so far. So I'm going to pull that up real quick, Ryan. And if you look last week against the spread, 10-6, straight up 12-4. Ryan, 8-8 against the spread and 11-5 straight up. You see our season so far. Again, if you're using my picks and that's it, that makes me happy because those are winning numbers, right? But if you look down at how many units I've lost with these prop bets, it's been ugly for me, Ryan. At least you almost broke even last week, and you're not even down a full week's worth of units, so you're looking all right. Oh, you're muted, Ryan. Muted. Stop watching the Yankees game. Get back.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, yeah, and I was close last week, man. Like the Jordan Love injury really hurt me. I had him for 225 plus. He finishes with 194 and then goes out with an injury, even though they find overtime and Malik Willis throws for 56 yards. So those were Jordan Loves, and that would have hit. And then who knew that the Bills would completely go away from Amari Cooper in his second game with the team? You thought he was a lock for 4 catches. He'd done it every game this past or so far this season. So yeah, a couple tough breaks last week, but we're feeling pretty good about where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to feel that way. Me, it's going to take a few weeks to get back, or some crazy props and parlays, which I've been known to have a couple of those. So let's see how it works out this week. But we're going to start with our picks, and it starts with Thursday night football. Thursday night, you got. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Let's start with the bye week. See, you always put these slides, and I
I
don't even
got you, man.
slide
I
on
got
me.
you. No buys last week. Threw us off a little bit.
Exactly. But not too long ago, the buys were pretty much consecutive, right? Except for, we'll see this next week, and then in a couple more weeks, Thanksgiving weekend. There's normally not any buys just because they have those 3 games on Thursday. Got to fit those in. But we do have 2 buys this week. Two good teams. The Steelers and San Fran will kind of mess with some of those props and parlays you might be thinking about. But those 2 teams off this week, and really for San Fran, a good time, right?
Good timing.
You're just really battling injuries, and I hear that Christian McCaffrey might come back after the injury, which if you were the number 1 overall pick in your fantasy, you've been waiting for this moment for him to come back. And hopefully, you've been able to tread water while he's been gone. For the Steelers, I actually think the opposite. The Steelers are on a roll right now. If I were the Steelers, I would want to keep playing for a little bit.
They're playing well right now.
Bye comes, yep. So let's start with Thursday night football. And right off the bat, Ryan, I see these things differently. And see, this is one of those times, and Ryan, you'll say this, and this is one of those times where I'm overthinking it. But I remember the last time this season, the Jets were actually at home, and they were 2-4 or 2 and whatever, and they were favored. I'm sorry, they were underdogs. No, they were favored, even though we thought they shouldn't be, and they won or something. I don't know. I'm overthinking this, Ryan. But I think that the Jets, they know that it's do or die for them, and they're at home. You think about the Texans, and no Collins, no Diggs. What are they going to turn to? Obviously, we think we know who they're going to turn to, and we'll talk about that more in our props. But that's why I got the Jets win this one.
Yeah, I mean, for this one, I don't understand where the Texans are 1.5 point underdogs. Like, unless CJ Stroud's leg fell off and they're not putting him on the injury report, I think this is too good a value to pass up. Where you get a team that's 6-2, they're the 2 seed in the AFC right now, and they get a team that's on a 5-game losing streak and just absolutely seem like a rudderless ship right now. I don't know that playing at home is going to help the Jets at all. And is this a must-win game for the Jets? Absolutely. But the last 3 or 4 games has been must-wins for the Jets, and they just find ways to implode. They lost against arguably the worst team in the league last week in the Patriots. I just don't see how playing a good Houston Texans team is going to help them right the ship.
Yeah. To me, again, and I agree with you. I'm like, how does Vegas have the Jets as a 1.5 point favorite? And that's where it's like, this doesn't pass that smell test, right? It's like that something's going on here. Something's brewing, coming close to Halloween. It's a Halloween game. Crazy things can happen. So that's why I have the Jets winning this one outright. Then you move on to Sunday. And again, a big slate of games on Sunday because you only had 2 teams with a bye. So you still have 15 games. And you only have 1 Monday night game, the 1 Thursday night. So a good slate of games on Sunday, and none bigger, in our mind at least, than this game between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Josh Allen's kids coming back to Buffalo. It's going to be great.
We're good to see the kids again.
It'd be good to see the kids again coming into Buffalo. This is our weekend with the kids to beat them up a little bit. Maybe that's why we don't see them too much. But we have the Buffalo Bills are at home playing against the Miami Dolphins. And you look at Josh Allen's record against the Dolphins, his resume. It just speaks for itself. The Dolphins, kind of like the Jets, imploding. You can track how badly teams do coming off of an emotionally last-second loss, and that's exactly what happened to the Dolphins last week.
Yeah, they lost a tough one. They probably shouldn't have lost that one to Arizona on the last-second field goal. The safety, that wasn't a good look. You can tell that Tua was still trying to knock the rust off of being out for as long as he was. And this is another one where it just kind of feels like the Bills are supposed to win this game, put this one away. The Dolphins are on a losing streak, and it's tough. It's tough to see how Buffalo loses this football game. I just think they're playing too complete football right now for Miami to compete with, especially since Miami can't play a semblance of defense.
Yep, and I agree with you completely there, Ryan. And I don't think there's much more to it. Again, join me 12:30 for this game. I'll be giving you the call live, and hopefully, like we said at the start of the show, the Bills win this game. Jets lose on Thursday. The Bills have this division pretty much on ice, and it's not even Thanksgiving yet. So that's always good to see. We do want to see them keep fighting for a higher seed, but at least one home game is fine. And as we both have been aware of when it comes to betting, especially home game or away teams don't get those 3 points or don't give up 3 points anymore. It's only a point and a half because the home field advantage really doesn't mean as much as it used to.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next game, we have the Dallas Cowboys coming off a rough loss on Sunday Night Football game. They started making that comeback, Ryan, and just didn't have enough time. That's what happens when you get behind early like that. Going against the Atlanta Falcons off a big win, now leading the NFC South.
Yeah, I mean, and this one I think again is pretty easy. Dallas is playing really bad football right now. They just seem they don't have a direction moving forward. I'm not sure how they're going to put up points, and at the same time, we're going to talk about it during our parlays. They're not great against the run, and you've got a really good running back coming into town, or you're visiting a really good running back in Bijan Robinson. So yeah. I like Atlanta in this one.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think probably that's why you have the under, simply because of the running attack. I look at this, and again, we'll talk about more with our parlays. Not only do you have a good running back, you have a good quarterback in Atlanta who's heating up. So we'll see how that one turns out. Moving forward to the next matchup, you see that we have the Las Vegas Raiders going into Cincinnati. Cincinnati taking one on the chin last week against the Eagles in Cincy. Now they stay at home, second straight home game, still 0-4 at home against the spread. Both you and I look for that to change this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cincinnati finally gets one here. Raiders aren't good. They're not playing good football right now. And Cincinnati is due for, another big game that winds up working out for them this time around. I think it sounds like T. Higgins might be healthy for this game in time, which is obviously a huge addition to their offense. And again, the Raiders aren't a very good football team. I like Cincinnati to run away and hide in this one.
Yeah, and since he's still one of those teams sitting at 3-5, we know they're in a little bit of trouble. But I think they still have plenty of opportunity in front of them to make a playoff push, especially in the AFC, where it looks like a 10-7, maybe even a 9-8 team could find a way to sneak into the playoffs. 3-5, there's some urgency there, but you still got some opportunity. Moving on to the next matchup, you have the Los Angeles Chargers, 1.5-point favorites against a Cleveland Browns team who showed a lot of fight last week, and you like them in this matchup.
Yeah, I do. I like Jameis Winston. I like what he brings to this offense. You can tell Ken Dorsey feels comfortable calling plays with a Jameis Winston type at quarterback. He loves to throw the ball. And the other thing that I don't think is getting talked about enough is Nick Chubb is getting stronger each week, and it seems like he's kind of getting back to his old form. You add in the fact that the Chargers really have struggled offensively lately, and the Browns haven't traded any of their defensive players yet. So I still like Cleveland to kind of fight through this one at home, get a win in front of their home crowd. And I still don't know how good the Chargers are. So until that happens, I'm going to take a team that I think is on the rise.
Sure, and it's always tough going to the dog pound, right? We all know the stories about the dog pound. For me, I think the same thing about backup quarterbacks that I think about rookie quarterbacks. It's about consistency, right? Jameis Winston, good week last week, did what he had to do to win. Can he do that in back-to-back weeks? Can he do that without turning the ball over, without creating short fields, 3-and-outs, all those things that really put a team down? We've seen this Browns defense struggle at times this year when they've lost time possession by a whole lot, and most defenses do. But I think the Chargers here with Dobbins, Harbaugh, of course, calling the plays. I think that they just have enough to pull this one out. But Vegas only has them as 1.5-point favorite for a reason. They have this game as a close one. Going to the next matchup, a matchup that no one wants to watch. We don't want to talk about it, so we're not going to. You see it right there. I have New England winning. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have New England winning this game outright. Ryan, you have them covering a spread, but Tennessee winning this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think that the Patriots are very good. I don't think the win against the Jets changes anything.
Mhm.
It was kind of one of those situations where when you saw the stats around it, it was literally like a 1 in 750 type of game. The Jets,
Yeah,
you score 20 or more, you give up fewer than 250 yards of offense, and you don't turn the ball over. Teams were 750-0 going into
yeah.
last week, and the one loss was the Jets. So I don't take much credence from the win. On the other side, however, it seems like Mason Rudolph has a pretty good relationship going with Calvin Ridley. And if that's the
Sure.
case, and he can find Calvin Ridley like he did last week, add in Tony Pollard, who's running the football really well, I think the Titans are going to have just enough. I think this is an under game, but I think they're going to
Yeah.
do just enough. This is like a field goal at the buzzer type of situation.
Yeah, I just because back-to-back weeks now for the Titans, they've hung with these teams for a quarter, and two good teams with the Bills and the Lions. Lions game at the end of the first quarter was 14-14. Then everything happened, right? So yeah, maybe the Titans do just have enough. I actually have a prediction that we'll talk about in our parlays that make me think the Patriots are going to win this matchup. Moving forward to the next matchup, we have the Washington Commanders sitting at 6-2, 0-4 on the road though. Wait, 0-4 against the spread on the road. Is that right? Is that what I'm
No,
getting
just
at?
0-4 on the road. Yeah, the Commanders haven't won a game on the road yet this season. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's
Yeah,
incorrect. I didn't
that's
change
being
it.
correct.
So yeah,
Okay.
they're 3-1 on the road this
Three
year.
and one on the road
Yeah.
this season at the Giants. 0-4 at home this year. Okay, I'm following. I'm following now. Giants 0-4 at home. Again, this one to us pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Washington's going to come back, win this one. A very emotional win last week for the Washington Commanders. An exceptional win with that Hail Mary. Never thought you'd see Jane Daniels pull that one off, and yet there he goes, filing away.
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels he's playing great football right now.
Mhm.
Again, I just want to go back. We talked during the pregame or the preseason, right? You and I
Yeah,
did that show before the season
yeah.
started. I
Hmm.
said the good money was on Jaden Daniels to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's the front runner right now. I
Yeah,
think it's going to take a
right,
massive collapse for him because Caleb Williams isn't playing great football,
right.
and Jaden Daniels is every bit as true to what's going on, and
Mhm.
he's the truth at quarterback right now. The Giants are still the Giants, right? Like
Yeah,
0-4 at home. Daniel
yeah.
Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown in MetLife in a very, very long time. I don't
Mhm.
anticipate that changing. I think this is a low scoring affair. I think Daniels is still trying to work his way back to full health, but
Yeah.
they just got too much firepower, I think, for the Giants in this one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Divisional matchup, you can never be too sure about divisional matchups, but no, I agree with you in this one. Moving forward, we will continue. I think this is the last 1 o'clock game of the slate. I might be wrong there though. Where we have the Carolina Panthers at home, 1-7, going against the 2-6 New Orleans Saints. Ryan, you just and I had a tough time with this number, right? Like 7 for the Saints, who are just plagued with
Yeah,
injuries. That's a lot. That's a lot of points. So we see a little bit differently there. However, we both have the Saints winning this matchup. Just there's nothing about this Panthers team that has. They're gonna like if they go 1-16, I'm not gonna be shocked.
yeah. I feel like for the Panthers, it's like if not this game, when does that
Yeah.
last win come?
Mhm.
And there's got to be at some point. I mean, there's got to be a sense of pride that comes
Yeah.
across this team. They're going to get the Saints probably the last time this season. We're going to see the Saints unless he gets hurt again without Derek Carr.
Hmm.
But I think it's a low scoring game. I think both teams are going to try to run the football because both defenses aren't great against the run. Chuba Hubbard has had a great game for Carolina last week. Obviously, Alvin Kamara for the Saints, can be electric at any given point in time. He's due for another one of his Alvin Kamara 3+ touchdown type of football games. So I don't like the spread. When I think a game is going under, 40 points, it's tough
Yeah.
to pick a touchdown favorite.
Correct. I can understand that. Again, yeah, the spread's a big number if you have them scoring less than 40 points. So moving on from this game, again, another divisional matchup, but that's one of the division matchups where they're fighting for the bottom. This is probably the best 1 o'clock game on the slate, and as far as matchups go, as far as playoff implications go, this is going to be a fun one to watch. You have the Baltimore Ravens 9.5 point favorites going up against the Denver Broncos. Denver, they keep impressing, they keep improving. Knicks keeps getting better and better. I think that this is the Broncos not only are a sneaky team here, but are a sneaky team to make the playoffs and potentially give the Chiefs not run for the money for the division, but at least maybe win one of those games against the Chiefs later on this year. We both have Denver covering a big number. Baltimore winning this matchup. I have the over, you have the under. So many people I think are going to look at this game and say, "Oh, Baltimore's going to be mad about the game last week," and if they were mad about it, they should have done something last week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, this is one where I don't think people have calibrated on how good Denver is yet, right? Like they're still overestimating Baltimore and they're still underestimating Denver. Denver's a better football team than 9.5 points against anyone in the NFL, I think. They've got a really, really good defense. That defense makes it really difficult to throw the football. It turns teams one-dimensional. Ravens capitalize on that, right? Because they love to be one-dimensional. But I think the Broncos are built to slow this game down and kind of do that ball control, and that's where the 9.5 kind of gets me. I think that this is going to be a maximize possessions, as few possessions as possible type of game. A lot of Javonte Williams, a lot of Derrick Henry, and that results in not quite getting to a 2-possession game.
Yeah, I think the only place where Denver might lose it is if the Ravens count on Derrick Henry to end it in the second half, and we all know that Derrick Henry's a tough guy to bring down at any point, but let alone in the second half if this defense does get tired. But I think this is going to be a good matchup. Hope that it lives up to the potential. Moving on to these Sunday games. These are where we start the 4:00 games, and it's going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, an impressive win last week, going to Cincinnati. Now at home, playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we will see this going the exact same way. The Eagles bouncing back. That now the division, the NFC East, looks like with the Cowboys' loss, looks like the Eagles are starting to try to make sure that is still theirs. Obviously, still have the Commanders to contend with, but Eagles looking like they're getting back on track. We will have the Eagles win this one by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, this one's easy. Right, like Jacksonville, no Brian Thomas, no Christian Kirk, no Gabe Davis, no chance in this football game. The Eagles are going to roll them.
Right, and could Jacksonville's head coach, his job be his last game as a Jaguars head coach, Doug Peterson, be against his former team? Be interesting, but we'll see.
Got a few more weeks before their bye still, so I think they may give them until the bye week. They have the same bye as Buffalo. I think that's week 11 this year.
Yeah.
So
yep. All right, so moving on to the next game, we have the Bears, who, again, a crushing loss last week against the Washington Commanders, going against the Arizona Cardinals. And I think a loss like the one last week might, in my opinion, especially with what we heard in the post-game press conference with the coach and everything, might be when the wheels start to fall off. Like, you had a good first half of the season. Everything was looking good. If you came away with that win last week, all of a sudden we're talking playoffs. 4-3 in that division. It's going to be tough for you guys to not be the fourth team in that division, which means you're probably on the outside looking in. We both see Arizona, who came off that impressive win last week, or at least last second win against Miami last week at home, winning this one.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are finding their stride offensively. Seems like Marvin Harrison is starting to get involved a little bit. They're leading their division right now, right? So they have every reason. They have every reason to kind of continue to put the foot on the gas in these games. The Bears are a game and a half back from third place in their division. They're firmly in last place right now. 3 6-2 or better teams in their division. And I think this Cardinals team just has too much firepower. And anytime a rookie quarterback goes on the road, I'm not a big fan of picking them.
Yeah, and again, if you look at betting tendencies, this one plays right into Arizona's hands as far as the tendencies of teams just coming off a last-second emotional loss and how they historically do the following week. Teams coming off emotional high wins where they had a last-second win, how they do the following week. Kind of plays right into the hands of the Arizona Cardinals. So pick the Cardinals to win this matchup. Going to the next 4:00 game, this is probably the game, in my opinion, the game of the week. Should be a lot of fun. You like the Lions in this matchup. I am a fan of Jordan Love. I am a fan of the Green Bay Packers. If you watch the show we did in the preseason, I picked the Packers to win the division. You picked the Lions. It's a matchup like this that's going to determine who's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one again. I'm picking this under the uncertainty at quarterback. I know that the Packers have done a good job with Malik Willis at quarterback, but he really, I think hampers what they're able to do offensively. And the Lions right now are just clicking on all cylinders. They're playing as one of the best teams in not only the division but the NFL. And I think this is just going to be too much firepower for Green Bay to keep up with, regardless of who's at quarterback.
Sure, and I don't know. Looking at this game, I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Green Bay this weekend, but we do know that Jared Goff, different quarterback in a dome compared to outside. So will that play a factor in this matchup? We'll have to wait and see, but I definitely have this game circled on my calendar as one to watch.
Don't forget though, Joe. They put up 52 points last week, and he didn't even throw for 100 yards.
That's true. That's true.
This offense is built different, man.
Crazy but true. So this should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. Moving on, we got the another good divisional matchup. We got the Los Angeles Rams. I just for some reason wanted to say St. Louis, and I just don't understand why it just pops up every once in a while. Like, wait, no, where was that from? Going against the Seattle Seahawks. Ryan, I recently put a poll on my Twitter page, which you can see all three. I can't point to this. All three of our Twitter handles, both mine, hashtag sports, and Ryan's above the team names there. Recently asked hashtag Nation who they think would, of all the teams with a losing record, have the best shot of still making the playoffs. Rams, surprisingly, getting a good number of votes here. A lot of people like the Rams, and you like the Rams in this matchup. I just don't. It's tough for me to see Seattle getting humiliated at home like they did last week against Buffalo, and then staying at home and put up another dud game. That's why I picked Seattle in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I think, the uncertainty around DK Metcalf, it sounds like he's going to give it a go. Obviously, that offense is different with him in there and running. But the Rams are getting back to full strength. Puka Nacua had a great game last week. Cooper Kupp had a good game last week. Kyron Williams, the Seattle Seahawks are the worst team against the run over the last 3 games right now, and Kyron Williams is an absolute beast. This season, he's, I think, 10 straight games with a touchdown right now. So, I think the Rams are kind of finding their stride here at a good time because they're only a game back of the division. And all of a sudden, this NFC West is turning into a very interesting division with the 49ers in last place.
Yeah. No one would have thought that, but no one would have foreseen all the injuries that San Fran has taken on. Like we said, good time for them to have a bye week, hopefully get some pieces right. Coming off a good win last Sunday night against the Cowboys. This is gonna be a fun division because you look up and down. It's Arizona 4-4, Seattle 4-4, the Rams 3-4, and I think San Fran's 4-4 too. Or so all of them with 4 losses, all of them right there in the mix. And maybe that's why a lot of people pick the Rams to potentially be the losing team with a losing record right now to make the playoffs because they can still win that division.
Right.
Everything's up in the air for them. So definitely going to be a fun division to watch down the stretch. Then we got a big matchup on Sunday Night Football. You got the Minnesota Vikings going against the Indianapolis Colts. For the Colts, coming off a tough loss last week against the Texans. See how they bounce back from that one. For the Vikings, like you said, that division, the NFC North, you can't afford to have these type of losses on your resume if you want to win the NFC North. So 2 teams in different conferences coming head to head. We both see it's going the same way. The Vikings coming out on top. Just too much firepower on offense, Justin Jefferson. And that's all you really have to say about that. And this defense for Minnesota, again, I think they'll be able to shut down what Indy does.
Yeah, I'm surprised this line didn't drop at all with the announcement that the Colts are going with Joe Flacco. I think that changes their offensive approach. Jonathan Taylor's back to 100%. This is a game I absolutely could see, Indianapolis keeping it close. You see they're 7-1 against the spread on the season. I was tempted to take the 5.5 points, but at the end of the day, I think that Minnesota is just going to be too much for him. Jefferson playing really good football right now. They seem to be finding their stride with Aaron Jones running the ball. This Minnesota team, I think defensively is just going to be too much for the Colts.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you there. And then the last game, last but not least, Monday Night Football. We see the Kansas City Chiefs, 7-0, the last undefeated team on the schedule, or on of all the teams, going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers 8.5 point underdogs. A lot of points. And Ryan, it's amazing to me sometimes, and I think you'll agree with this. If you pay attention to betting at all, it's amazing to me sometimes when you watch an undefeated team and all of a sudden the media starts talking about, can they do it all year? Can they go undefeated? Which the media has started to talk about with the Kansas City Chiefs. How often to me the following week they come out and put up a dud, like either barely escape defeat or get defeated in upset fashion. And I think this game's going to be really close, actually.
Yeah, I mean, all their games have been fairly close this season, right? I mean, they're not playing great football. Patrick Mahomes is struggling to throw the football. They just went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not sure how much better that necessarily makes them. Right. And the Buccaneers are playing good football. They have a solid defense right now. If they can get a couple takeaways, win the turnover battle, run the football as well as they've been running the football, I think they can keep this game close with Kansas City. I still think Kansas City is the better football team, but I think Tampa Bay's got enough to keep it close.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you there. But I'm looking forward to this Monday Night Football matchup. And listen, my oldest son, he's getting ready for Halloween. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan for no other reason than he loves pirates, and they have a pirate ship in their stadium, which is a great reason. Listen, I'm not going to argue. Like you can't argue with that. Like you're right. Unless I want him to be a Raiders fan, which I don't.
I'm good. You'd rather be a Bucs fan than a Raiders fan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're good there. So before we move on to our props, to our parlays, if you hang out with us and you just want to know our picks, because again, going back to that first slide, our picks are doing a whole lot better than our parlays are. Just something real quick to think about. And I wanted to say this in the beginning, forgot to, but there have been 123 games played so far this season. And only in 14 of them has the favorite won and not covered the spread. So that means in 106 games, either the favorite has won and covered, or the underdog has won and the points didn't matter. 106, 14, and 3. So when you're betting, and I know for 2 games this week I did this, where I bet the favorite to win, and this one we're both on the same page. We picked the favorite to win the game, but not cover the spread. If you pick a team to win, if you think the favorite's going to win, these stats, and it's not just this year, guys. You can go back multiple years. It's always this way. Pick the favorite to win. Pick them to cover the spread. Most times, you're going to be correct. Last week, I talked about how back-to-back weeks you had the road teams covering 11 games, and then I said the home teams are going to come back. They won 11 against the spread last week. This is my advice. As I said to Ryan before we got on the air, I said that we should do as I say, not as I do segment, and this would be what it was. So that's just some numbers. Take them for what they are. We're going to move on to our parlays and props next. So hopefully, like Ryan said, like I said, we start doing these a little better. I'm going to start with my lock, and then I think maybe we'll do this a little differently. Ryan, try to get that. Try to do this a little differently, and maybe things will come, get better for us, mix things up. I'll talk about my lock first. You talk about your lock first, and then we'll talk about the other ones. How's that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, good. Let's see if this mixes it up. For me, it's about the running backs. It's about the running backs. And like you said, when we talked about the game between the Broncos and Ravens, I see a heavy dose of running by both teams, right? And if you see a heavy dose of running from Derrick Henry, he's going to wear any defense out. It doesn't matter. Any defense, he's going to wear them out. I see Derrick Henry over 85.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to have a great game against the Denver Broncos. Again, wearing that team out slowly, maybe even get over a buck in this game. If you want to be crazy, I think 85.5 is kind of like the top of what he can do this week. But with how much I'm down in units, I need to reach for it a little bit. And then the other two, I don't think they're too much of a stretch. James Cook against the Dolphins, getting into the end zone. We've seen this Dolphins defense struggle pretty much all year long. And then Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles, he was on a roll there for a little bit. Probably got a little annoyed last week that Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns and he didn't see it in the red zone. So I think he comes back. Saquon Barkley, James Cook, both with touchdowns, and then Derrick Henry over 85.5 rushing yards. That's my locked parlay of this week. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, so on this one, I'm starting with Kyron Williams, 80 or more rushing yards. He's hit this four in his four of his last 5 football games. Seattle's allowing 182 rushing yards per game over the last 3 football games. This one marries pretty well, I think. Like Kyron Williams on that one. Dak Prescott, 225 or more passing yards. Atlanta's the third worst in the league over the last 3 games. They're allowing 262 yards passing. I think Cowboys are going to be playing from behind. I think Dak's going to be winging it all over the field. He got a connection with CeeDee Lamb last week, and I think that's going to continue this week. And then A.J. Brown, I think this is as easy money as you can get. 3 straight games, he's had 80 or more receiving yards. 2 of those games, he went over 100. Jacksonville's second worst against the pass this season. I think they're going to get to A.J. Brown early. This might be one where he gets a touchdown pass that bites off like 2/3 of that yardage in one go, and I think he hits this one easy. He's the primary target for Philadelphia, and I think they're going to roll this weekend.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I love those picks for all the reasons that you stated. And now I'll go to because we both again have our parlays and we have topics that we're kind of going off of. You do your Bills parlay, I'm going to do my Thursday night parlay. Dalton Schultz does not have a touchdown yet this season, but you look at the Texans and who they have available to them right now. I think if you're looking at offensive weapons, you got to look at Dalton Schultz as potentially getting the end zone. Even though he doesn't have a touchdown for the Texans, he is 4th in receptions, and 2 of your other top 4 are already out. So you got to look at where they're going to get their touchdowns from and where we're going to get value from. And then Breece Hall finding his way into the end zone for the New York Jets. Again, not sure what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like moving forward. I mean, it's been tough for him, 40-year-old guy. But remember, this is an anytime touchdown, so it could be receiving or rushing. I really like Breece Hall in the pass game as well for the Jets. So that is my Thursday night football parlay: Dalton Schultz and Breece Hall anytime touchdowns.
Yeah, so for my Bills special this week, Josh Allen, 225 or more passing yards. Hit this easily last week. This offense really has seemed to find its stride with Amari Cooper. Now that he's joined the fold, whether they're targeting him or not, it seems as though they're really doing a good job passing the football. Dolphins are not good against the pass, so I like Josh Allen, 225 or more there. Who's going to catch the ball? Well, Khalil Shakir, 4 or more receptions, 4 out of the last 5 games. He's hit this. He's still Josh's primary receiver, at least for now, while Amari Cooper is still working his way in. And then Dalton Kincaid, we're going to go back to the big man here. 5 straight, he's hit this one, 2 or more receptions. This will be a little bit closer to maybe an even money parlay here, but a nice little double up in a situation where, we're kind of chasing some units over the last few weeks here. So I like Josh Allen, 225 or more. 6 of those balls are going to go to Shakir and Kincaid, 4 and 2 respectively. I think that one might cash before halftime.
Yeah, and the good news about the Shakir one is if you need 4 receptions, it's only going to take 4 targets. So,
That's right.
So he's going to catch the ball. So you'll be good to go there. So those are our parlays. Let's move to our props for this week. Again, these are just things that you hope build your bankroll a little bit. Nothing too crazy for me. Like I said, the crazy one, and this is why I have the Patriots beating the Titans. I think the Patriots find a way to get that defensive touchdown. So I'm going to give Patriots defensive anytime touchdown, that matchup. I still don't trust this Titans offense. Again, getting crushed last week. Able to stay in games early, but not complete it late. And for this Patriots team, there's nothing about this offense that's fancy. This defense knows that they might need to score in order to win the matchup. And if they do, I think that they do win the matchup overall. Kirk Cousins over 265 passing yards, hit this number last week. I think that he is starting to stride as well. And I think he's hit this number like 4 times in his career against the Cowboys. So I think they can do it again here. And then Jaden Reed, anytime touchdown. I personally think that this is going to be a good matchup between the Lions and the Packers. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one. And so I think that Jaden Reed, anytime touchdown. I know that the quarterback concerns are there, but I still think Love plays in this matchup. That's why I have them winning it. So give me Jaden Reed anytime.
All right, for mine, so Alvin Kamara, 80 or more rushing yards. Yeah, Carolina's the worst in the league against the run. That seems like they're the worst in the league against everything. First meeting between these two teams, Kamara went for 83 yards, so I like him to hit 80 or more. Going to press this one a little bit, trying to get it above even money. So going with 80 yards as opposed to 60. Bijan Robinson, 100 plus receiving and rushing yards. So that's total between his rushing and receiving yards. Dallas is the second worst in the league against the run. Bijan's hit this number, 100 or more rushing and receiving in 3 straight games. 2 games ago, he did it with 100 yards rushing on its own. Last week, he went 60 and 40. So I like him to get that in his 4th straight. And then the last one, Lamar Jackson, 275 or more passing yards. They're making a conscious effort to throw the ball this year. He's hit this in 4 straight. Tampa's 4th worst against the pass. I like Baltimore to try to throw the ball early. I think Lamar Jackson's going to probably wing it all over the field, get to about the 3rd quarter with this number, and then they're going to rely heavily on Derrick Henry from there. I almost called him Travis Henry, but Derrick Henry from there. So
I've done that plenty.
So for those, I like Kamara again, just to repeat those. Kamara, 80 or more rushing yards. Bijan Robinson, 100 or more rushing, receiving. And Lamar Jackson, 275 passing. I think that gets it done. Hopefully gets us back into positive money here heading into week 10.
Yeah, the holidays are approaching, so we need to get these guys back up to positive money so that way, they can at least tell their wives we're even, so we can go buy some nice things. So those are our parlays, those are our props, those are our picks, guys. And Ryan, happy Halloween. Enjoy it. For everyone out there, be safe with your kids. Make sure they get plenty of candy and you get some too.
That's right. Don't forget the dad tax.
That's right. That's what it's all about. Listen, I have a son that just turned 1 October 2nd. You don't think I'm going to take him out there and be like, no, he needs he needs something for him.
Get some for your brother.
That's right. Get some for your brother. So, but for Ryan, for myself, thank you for joining us on this edition of Razor Sharpe Picks, Week 9 edition. We'll see y'all next week. Until we do, go Bills.
Go Bills.